Welcome to the Baseball Insiders. I'm Adam Weinrib, joined as always by FanSided's MLB insider Robert Murray, who broke another one today. It's always fun to be able to talk about A, breaking news, B, player movement in spring, and C, player movement whose attention was first captured by our own Robert Murray. So obviously we're going to talk Jose Iglesias. We're going to talk about some shuffling in the Yankees rotation, most likely, Adam Duvall's interesting comments, and some good news on a potentially fallen Cardinal. But obviously, we're going to start with the movement, and here to break it all down for us is FanSided MLB insider Robert Murray. Robert, how are you doing, dude?
I'm doing great. It always feels good breaking a story before the podcast. Gives us a little bit more stuff to talk about. Get into the way that I broke that sign. It was kind of a unique one. I know Drew is going to appreciate it, considering how many times he asked me about it in the Discord. So it could be some pretty exciting stuff to dive into. Got lots of other stuff to talk about as well. Good to be here with you, Adam. How we doing?
We're doing good. I'd say we're doing great. I'd say we're doing fantastic. I don't know. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a Wednesday afternoon, 1 o'clock Eastern. Again, we are typically here Monday, Wednesday, Friday, prospect show on Tuesday. But this week, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, same time a show usually is on Friday, 3:30 Eastern, but it'll be tomorrow. So if you're here for the first time, welcome. Please subscribe. If you're here always, turn on your notifications. Make sure you know when we're going live. We'll give you the info. This show on Thursday will be led into by a private Q&A in the Rumor Mill channel of our Discord with the one and only Robert Murray. So you can join a Discord Q&A with Robert at 3 o'clock. Lead right into a live episode at 3:30 tomorrow to end your week. I can't think of a better way to spend your time. You join us in the All-Star channel, then you can also have a smaller group of intimate friends. We'll give you priority responses in this particular chat on the live shows, and you're going to get your names in the credit as well. So we love you All-Stars. We love you Discorders. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Want to tune everyone's attention again to the Moonshot, our weekly baseball email newsletter, where the FanSided MLB team, including Robert Murray and myself, break down all the biggest stories in the big leagues with humor, insight, and behind-the-scenes info. That is also published on the Baseball Insiders feed on fansided.com. Fansided.com/baseball-insiders for the latest rumors and notes from Robert, humor, and insight from yours truly, and the best of baseball and pop culture from the FanSided MLB staff writers. So check it out. And that is where you'll want to go if you want to read more from Robert about the Jose Iglesias move. Full transparency, originally in this outline created last night was a section that said, Joel Sherman said the Yankees are lucky Jose Iglesias is still a free agent. Do you think he signs before opening day? Yeah, I do. I definitely do. This is a minor league deal with the San Diego Padres. $3 million if he's in the majors with a $1 million bonus, I believe. But tell me how this Padres deal came together and how this ended up being a minor league deal for someone who was a 137 OPS plus guy and maybe sort of kind of changed the entire trajectory of the 2024 Mets last year.
Yeah. Sorry, I had a little frog in the throat there.
That
was my bad. That was my bad. That's very embarrassing. That's going to get clipped, and I'm going to get cooked for that. But it happens.
Probably not. Yeah, well, it will. Yeah, it probably will.
So how I would describe this one is Iglesias wanted to return to the Mets, and obviously, like, why wouldn't he? He had a great tenure with the Mets. He was someone who was electric in that city. Like the team and city really kind of rallied around him. But the Mets don't have that much roster flexibility when it comes to their roster right now. And a fit for Iglesias never really made sense, despite how much he wanted to return to New York. So the Iglesias sweepstakes ended up really lingering here. There was other teams that were interested for sure, but the fact that he ended up getting a minor league deal is kind of crazy to me. And the Padres, they've always made sense here, is they always are a team who they look out for value options. And especially this offseason, they did not have that much money to spend. And you can see that in their signings of Jason Hayward and a lot of their other guys. They're very similar contract structures of like $1 million and give or take in that ballpark. And we're talking about that scenario with a lot of other free agents as well. But Iglesias lingering on the market, presented an opportunity for Preller to really strike and get a player who really deserved a major league contract, which I still can't believe Iglesias didn't get a major league contract. But it also shows in the money that they gave him, $3 million if he's in the majors with $1 million bonus, that they believe in the player, that they think he's going to contribute on the major league roster at some point. Maybe that's even an opening day. Who knows? But I thought that was a really smart signing for the Padres. And I did not necessarily have that one on the bingo card today. I'm not kidding you. I was doing lunges at the gym, and all of a sudden my phone went off, and I saw the text and was told to check on it, and I got it confirmed. And as I was about to go into the steam room is when I tweeted it. So that is exactly the behind the scenes stuff and how that broke. But kind of crazy, but a really good sign in there for the Padres.
Feels like he waited specifically until you were about to go into the steam room purposefully just to make it a better story and also more frustrating for you personally. I know not on my bingo card either, given the infield depth the Padres do have and they're already trying to work through, especially if they're keeping Luis Ariz, which we think they are. We think they want to contend. We think they want to draw even with the Dodgers. They added to the rotation under these budgetary constraints. They deserve credit for doing all this late legwork despite the obvious budgetary constraints they have. This leaves Alex Verdugo slightly up for grabs for me, given that that's someone we've wondered about as a similarly cheap Padres fit. Is there still a market there anywhere? And if Jose Iglesias is a minor league deal, is that a minor league deal as well?
I can't imagine Verdugo get a minor league deal.
I can't imagine Iglesias getting a minor league deal. What are we doing?
No, but plus, I don't know. I just have a hard time seeing Verdugo getting a minor league deal. But I mean, if you look at opportunities around the league, I still think the Padres make sense. I still think a team like the Pittsburgh Pirates could make some sense there. We've been saying that the Pirates need to make another addition on the offensive side, and Verdugo represent an opportunity there where you could probably get him for a lot cheaper now than he would have probably cost earlier in the offseason. So it's not me reporting anything at this point. It's just me kind of connecting dots. I want to make sure that doesn't get aggregated into me saying something I'm not. But he's going to get a job at some point. And we're seeing now, I'm confident that Verdugo is going to get a job, but I know we're also going to be talking about Duvall and some of these other guys as well. And I mean, it's just, there's still plenty of good options available, but really not that many opportunities really out there for these guys.
Yeah, I think this ties right into the Duvall thing, so we might as well touch on it. There was a report about Adam Duvall and the Royals touching base. I believe this originated with Joel Sherman as well, where he turned down the offer and basically said, I'm going to, I'll accept what I believe to be my fair market value, or I will retire. I'm not going to trudge into next season going somewhere I wasn't necessarily trying to go to, and for a sum total that didn't satisfy me. I'm fine hanging it up. But it did sort of sound like it was the kind of late winter, early spring soundbite that I kind of expected to build from a lot of people in a similar boat. I mean, I'm watching Anthony Rizzo, who also did an interview with, I believe, Ken Rosenthal a couple weeks ago that was like, I want a job. I don't know why I don't have one, but just hanging out here. So you read something like that from Duvall and you start to wonder, okay, am I going to start to hear this more from veterans in a really similar boat, similar age bracket, guys who we know aren't going to break the bank, but are looking for fair market value, $3, $4, $5 million, and just we're getting to the final 3 weeks of spring training and don't have suitors. Do you expect that we're going to maybe hear similar sentiments from other players in the coming days, weeks? Because I can't imagine that Duvall is alone in feeling this way.
I know that Duvall is not alone in feeling this. I can confidently say that. But I don't blame Duvall for doing this whatsoever. And he is a player who, I want to make sure I get this right, he's been in the majors for 11 seasons now. And he's proven to be a very valuable veteran presence on some contending teams. And even we've seen him do it with the Atlanta Braves, the Boston Red Sox. He's a really useful piece against left-handed pitching. And the fact that he's struggling to get that kind of contract, I mean, granted, he is coming off of a season where he posted a minus 1.4 B WAR and hit a little, I think around a 180 last year. So, I mean, it's not exactly like he's coming off the best season, but his sample size is really big. And they know what he's going to provide on the field, in the clubhouse, and wherever. And I checked on it after Joel reported it. And as always, Joel is spot on. He's one of the best reporters in the game. And I was told simply by someone who knows him, it's just Duvall betting on himself and trying to get what he thinks he deserves. Because this is also not just a Duvall thing, but it's guys in free agency now, free agency going forward, because you don't want to set that kind of precedent. And he's trying to, I know exactly what he's trying to do. He's trying to make sure that future players are also in a good spot as well. And if he goes out like this, it would be unfortunate, but he'd go out on his own terms, and it would be a really strong career. But I hope he's not done. I think there's still going to be some opportunities here, but teams are going to have to step up and pony up for what he thinks he deserves.
Yeah, and as we watch Iglesias take a minor league deal, it certainly is a strong statement in the other box, basically saying, the reading between the lines is like, I know many of you folks probably want to sign me to a minor league deal right now. That I'm not going to do. I'd rather go out and ride off into the sunset than compete for a big league role and start at AAA. And yeah, like you said, Duvall's last season, not representative. And I'm sure you have executives trying not to buy the dip or whatnot. But 2023, he did exactly what he was asked to do for the Red Sox. And that's not long ago. And that's a relatively substantial sample from 1.5 years ago. So I get where he's coming from. And I think there are a lot of players who pridefully feel that way about themselves as we get towards opening day. We talked on the last episode, like, hey, David Robertson, like, is he out of time to sign before the season? We know what it did to Blake Snell last year, and Blake Snell is 10 years younger than David Robertson. Like, are we really going to pretend that these relievers and the, Kyle Gibson, there was a report yesterday that Kyle Gibson was getting in shape and throwing 60-pitch bullpens. It's what he has to do, and it's definitely what he has to say. But you worry specifically with the pitchers that we might be past the point of no return. We might be looking at, June signings or staying home.
Oh, absolutely. And first, should I drop an NFL scoop?
Drop one.
Like? DK Metcalf requesting a trade from the Seattle Seahawks. There we go.
Welcome to the Chiefs, DK Metcalf.
There we go. So we interrupted baseball talk with some NFL breaking news there. But now going back into this, you're spot on about pitchers specifically having to be the ones to worry about here. Because we saw what happened with Blake Snell lingering on the market last year. He really struggled in that first half of the year. And he was obviously he was a trade candidate at that point. And then he just turned things around and he was almost too good for the Giants to trade. Obviously that kind of bit him in the butt because, now signed with the Dodgers in free agency after he opted out of his deal. But it was like, it's something that is on these players' minds. And I've had different agents tell me, like, eventually these guys are going to have to come off the board because their performance is going to get impacted. They're going to want to face live BP. They're going to want to throw bullpen sessions. They're going to want to do all sorts of different stuff so they can get ramped up and ready for the season. And I wonder, like, and this is just my own thought, not anyone telling me this, but I wonder how much David Robertson specifically is being impacted by in his free agent market with the fact that he doesn't have an agent. He represents himself, and you wonder maybe if having an agent would help him go through this process. But he's had success before, so good for him. But it's very difficult as a player to navigate this kind of stuff on their own behalf. So I'm wondering exactly how much that's impacting him there. But even Kyle Gibson too. I know Quintana was really struggling in free agency, and obviously had the Pirates expressing interest, and they offered him a deal slightly above what they ended up giving Heaney. Ended up going to the Brewers for $4.25 million the other day. But it was a real struggle for him. And he's a very strong veteran guy. Gibson is too, don't get me wrong. But if Quintana's struggling to get 4.25, what exactly is Gibson going to get? So that's a tough one there. We still got David Peralta. We still got Duvall. We've got Verdugo. We got all sorts of different guys. So free agency, it's almost over. But really, we still got some good guys out there, man. It's tough. It's real tough right now.
The kind of people who can help a contender fill in really important innings during the regular season, if not surprise everyone by being an important bench piece during a postseason run. And that's why it's so funny to watch a team like the Yankees, already very banged up, just declare outright that they're out of loot. And so we've talked about their lack of loot. I disagree that they don't have any. I think they do have loot, but they're saying they don't. Aaron Boone on the spring training broadcast Monday night, maybe making a little bit of a hint that there's some things going on that could, outside the organization, impact the third base battle. Who knows what that means, and who knows if they ever come to fruition. But the one thing that I think we do know about Yankees camp is that Marcus Stroman came to camp 2 weeks ago, said I'm a starter. Everyone said, that's not a bad depth piece to keep. Someone's going to get hurt, but he does seem too angry to keep, so we probably still have to find a way to get rid of him or keep him in the bullpen. Well, lo and behold, like 2 weeks later, Luis Gil, 6-week no throw on, he had a shoulder issue, but it turned out to be a lat issue. He will not be participating for quite a while. Clark Schmidt was shut down mid-season, missed about 3 months with a similar injury last year. So we're looking at the summer. It certainly starts to feel like Marcus Stroman is maybe locked into the Yankees rotation, at least through the trade deadline. Is that how you're feeling in the wake of Gil's injury diagnosis? Like no shopping, no Kyle Gibson on their radar. It's just Stroman. Maybe we go 6-man with Will Warren. But either way, this is what it looks like for the Yankees, who are probably thankful they still have these guys.
Oh, absolutely. And the Yankees, they shopped Stroman all offseason, and they found zero takers whatsoever. There was at one point I thought the Giants were going to emerge as a suitor there because Stroman likes it on the West Coast. And I thought, like, I had someone put it on my radar, and then like 2 hours later they signed Justin Verlander. So that really put it off the burner there.
Very similar pitchers, of course.
Yeah, very similar.
I can't.
Yeah, and the Yankees, besides, maybe the Giants, like they found zero takers here whatsoever. And it was always going to be a really difficult thing to trade Stroman, especially considering his option for next year. I think if it was just like a straight up 1-year kind of deal, it would be a much different story. But the fact that he's got the option for the 3rd year made that an increasingly difficult contract to move. So that's always, to me, been the most realistic option here for the Yankees, was to keep Stroman. But that being said, with Gil's injury, that it's kind of a blessing in disguise that they did not end up moving Stroman, because if they moved Stroman, they would have been they would have been hurting. But that being said, though, Stroman's contract is obviously pretty big. They would have eaten a pretty good number of that contract in order to facilitate a trade, but they would have had some money saved. So maybe they could have invested in a guy like Gibson, or maybe even somebody else as well, like Jose Iglesias, maybe, as Joel Sherman alluded to. But yeah, I was never going into this offseason, despite knowing the fact that Stroman and the Yankees, the Yankees were shopping Stroman and that Stroman unfollowed the Yankees. I never at one point thought like a trade was actually going to happen. It just seemed kind of like what Nolan Arenado's case is. The team wanted to move on from a player, but nobody wanted to take that on. Yeah, that's just what it felt like.
The worst part is he can't refollow now. Like, everyone would notice. It took a while for everyone to notice that he unfollowed. He got away with it before people blew up his spot. If he starts the year in the rotation and he's the number 5 starter, he can't refollow. Like, the worst would be if the Yankees tagged him in that little pregame post, like today's starter at Marcus Stroman, and then he immediately refollowed, just like, oh shit, right before he took the mound. Like, oh, they tagged me, I got to repost it. Might as well follow them. I can't exactly hide or get away with it. But the Yankees do have rotation depth. You don't like to see a rookie of the year go down, but Gil's June, Gil's August last year, Gil's playoff run did not look like what he did in the first half. He did a ridiculous job filling in for Garrett Cole, then hit some speed bumps, had a back injury. Not surprising at all that he's now down for the count for a little bit. And they have the depth to withstand it. It has made some Yankee fans bothered. There was a Bob Clappish column this week that claimed that Brian Cashman had the opportunity to trade Gil for Kyle Tucker and passed because he liked Gil's control and he liked being able to keep that young arm in the rotation for many years. I was sort of always under the impression that the Astros would have preferred not to deal with the Yankees there, not that Cashman actively passed. But that's circulating around a little bit. So any insight you have to share on that would be appreciated.
Yeah, I got plenty of thoughts on that one, actually. And I cannot see a scenario in which the Astros trade a significant player, especially one of Kyle Tucker's caliber, to the New York Yankees. And maybe the Astros wanted Gil. I don't know. But if I'm the Astros, I would have much preferred Cam Smith in that scenario over Gil, who's, we're talking about Cam Smith. I think if all is said and done here, we're talking multiple time All-Star, potential American League MVP candidate. We're talking about a guy who's got just immense potential. And that's not to take anything away from Gil at all. Like, he obviously was great last year, and especially in the first half of the year. He's shown he can do it at the highest level, especially in the American League East, which is a feat in itself. But I don't blame the Astros one bit for taking the Cubs' offer over whatever Bob Klapisch said that the Yankees were willing to part with. I'm a huge believer in Cam Smith. Everything that I've heard from people in and around the Astros, or even people who have faced the Astros this spring, have all just raved about Cam Smith. And we're talking, I'm telling you, I said it before, I'll say it again. He's going to be the next face of that franchise in Houston. He is going to be just a cornerstone player and like a household name before too long. That was a great trade. I was not of the belief that the Astros should trade Kyle Tucker, but re-signing him would have been increasingly difficult, especially after what Soto and Ohtani got in free agency. But they did really well with getting Cam Smith there.
Yeah, so there you go. Put that in your pocket, Yankee fans. Cam Smith probably better than Luis Gil in terms of future value, I would say. One final thing, tie a bow on it. We were going to talk about Jordan Walker's injury. Turned out to be a weird injury. Turned out he stepped on a sprinkler, which is maybe rebuild your stadium if you've got sprinklers hanging out in the field of play. That's like a Mickey Mantle injury. That's what ended his career. I mean, he played another like 19 years, but it stole his speed. It made him a different kind of player. He ran and wrenched his knee in a storm drain in the Yankee Stadium outfield. Jordan Walker, no structural damage in that knee. Good news. And it's really good news for the Cardinals, who maybe thought they'd know more about Walker by now, but still need to be in the information gathering stage as they attempt to overhaul this roster. So it looks like we'll not miss significant time. And it's weird that we can say really important that he dodged that drain, but pretty important.
Very important. And there was some concern exactly what that injury was, especially when a guy steps on a sprinkler in the outfield. I mean, there's always some weird injuries in spring training, but that ranks right up there with one of the weirder ones for sure. But the Cardinals said today that he's just got inflammation in his left knee, that there's no structural damage, and that they only expect him to be out like not that long, maybe a week. It's not going to be a long-term absence by any means. And that is a huge bit of news here for the Cardinals, because this year, despite keeping Arenado, they view this as a reset. And this is going to be when they get Nolan Gorman a lot of playing time, but especially a guy like Jordan Walker. And last year, they were really patient with Gorman, but they were not patient with Walker. They optioned him to AAA like a month into the season. And this year, his leash is going to be longer. They need to see exactly what they have here in Walker. And as far as like a physical specimen, there are not many players who are built or have the potential like Jordan Walker. If everything clicks for him, we're talking about a really, really, really good player, but he has yet to prove it on the field. But this is going to be the year that they figure out exactly what they got. It's a make or break year for him. And the fact that he's still on par to make opening day is a huge deal for them. He's going to get a lot of playing time early, and we should know pretty quick if he's built for it or if he's just not going to really pan out to anything.
Yeah, if he's going to be like a steady stream or just a sprinkler.
You need help.
I do. I really, truly do need help. Get me out of the computer. Get me off the stream. Get me out of the box. I need to go touch grass, but not where there's a sprinkler. The part of the grass where there's no sprinkler.
I'm gonna have to talk with Jordan after this podcast.
Probably, yeah, probably, absolutely. Anything else we should know? I know we have a question from Connor Wright asking when Jose Quintana's Brewers physical is. I'm not sure if we know more about that or what to expect, but anything else in the pipeline, like we touched on earlier, there are name brand players who are waiting for opportunities. And if the clock was ticking in February, it's ticking, extremely loudly under the floorboards now in March. So any thoughts?
Nah, currently I've got nothing that I know that is close. But I'm telling you, I touched on it quite a bit before, and I'll say it again. The big item that I picked up on is that everyone in baseball believes that Cam Smith is a star. I'm getting on that hype train immediately now. But he is absolutely legit. So, other than that, I've got nothing new in the notebook. It's kind of quiet right now. But spring training fever is here, and we love that.
I am feeling it. I am satisfied. I'm watching Spencer Jones. I'm watching George Lombard. I'm watching the aforementioned Will Warren. I will be in Palm Beach this weekend. Can't wait. Haven't been to a spring training game in like 14 years, I think. But no, 2016 I was in Arizona. So we're looking at 9, which is still a lot. So I'm going to be hanging in Palm Beach. If you're a local or if you've been down to spring training, let me know what I should do, where I should go, what's the best nook at Cacti Park in the Palm Beaches. I'm all ears. But until before I leave, we're going to do another show tomorrow afternoon, 3:30 Eastern on the Thursday. Q&A in the Discord right into the live show. So join us in the Discord. If you haven't, then join us right on the stream where we answer more of your questions in a public forum. Robert Murray, seems as if Cam Smith may be a stud. I think that I might be picking up on that from what we're talking about today.
Yeah, I feel like you're pretty intuitive. Yeah, you're very astute. You picked up on that one very well. But a good show today, as always. I'm glad we got to break down the Iglesias signing, which did not expect to be breaking that one at the gym this morning, but it happened, and that added some extra fuel for leg day, which we don't necessarily love the most over here, but we did it. But good show today, my friend. I will see you back here tomorrow. Everyone in the Q&A for the Discord, I could not recommend more joining the Discord for that. That is when you get me unfiltered. That's when you get me there's a lot of good stuff, and I like to give some people flack in there, especially a certain Bears fan named Hunter. Not Hunter Armour. Our
no, that's a different Bears fan.
Yeah, but different Bears fan. But always good stuff. I appreciate you, Adam. Everyone in the comments, I appreciate you. Joanne, our lovely producer, we appreciate you. I'll see you back here tomorrow.
I will see you back here tomorrow after we, I think, have a private off-mic conversation about the sprinkler jokes. Until then, we'll see everybody here on the stream, 3:30 Eastern, Thursday this week. Turn on your notifications, get subscribed, get tuned in. We'll see you here then. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.